Hello, friends. In the winter of 2013, 4-year-old Elijah Sandoval could not wait to start school. Every day on his way to the bus stop, he would walk past the school and wave at its beautiful red brick walls. "I'm gonna go to that school one day," he told his parents with shining eyes. He was so excited about the prospect of making new friends and learning many interesting things. His mother, Jessica, promised to buy him a backpack and all the stationery he needed for school. The boy was over the moon. He dreamed of becoming an artist when he grew up and would draw pictures for his mommy and daddy. But alas, fate decreed otherwise. On January, a man with a gun broke into Sandy Hook Elementary School and killed 20 children and 6 school employees. Little Elijah was among the victims. In the blink of an eye, the kid's life was shattered and his parents were left without their only child. How could they ever find peace? They tried everything they could to keep their son's memory alive, erecting a small memorial in front of their house, placing candles by his grave every year on his birthday and visiting it every day. It was a different story with the town's residents. After the tragedy, they demanded to demolish the school, saying that it was painful for them to even pass by this place. The local authorities listened to these demands and soon made the decision to raze the building to the ground. This infuriated the boy's parents. How could they allow this? They asked. They wanted the school to remain standing as a symbol of the innocent lives that were stolen from the children and to remind the townspeople of what happened there. But no one paid any heed to their pleas. The destruction of the school began in July 2014. First, all the equipment was removed from the building, then the walls and other debris were demolished. All this time, Jessica and David could only watch helplessly from afar. How the place where their son used to go to school was being wiped off the face of the earth. Finally, the bulldozers razed the school to the ground. Then they began filling the resulting pit with gravel. A park was planned to be built on this site later. The couple understood that if they didn't do something to preserve their son's memory, then sooner or later no trace of the tragedy would remain. Therefore, they decided to take legal action and filed a lawsuit against the city administration demanding to stop the construction work. Moreover, they asked to build a monument in honor of the victims of the shooting. This time, the court sided with the parents, but the authorities ignored even this decision and continued doing their own thing. "They don't care about our son. They just want to sweep everything under the rug," Jessica said bitterly. She and her husband had nowhere else to go. They couldn't bear the thought of living in a house where their son had lived. So they sold it and moved into a tiny 2-bedroom apartment in another city. Friends and relatives often wondered why they didn't get on with their lives, find a new job, a new home, and perhaps even have another baby. How can we live our lives when we lost our only child? It feels like a part of us has been torn away and will never be returned. Besides, what kind of person would I be if I let my son's memory fade away? The woman admitted. More than 6 years passed after the tragedy. During all this time, David and Jessica visited Elijah's grave every day. But now it was getting more difficult because the city administration kept postponing the opening of the cemetery where the boy was buried. Eventually, they got so fed up with waiting that they decided to erect a small monument in their son's honor near their new home. It was supposed to be a kind of temporary solution until the grave was ready. As you can probably guess, the stone cross caused a lot of controversy among the neighbors. Some people called it ugly, while others claimed it disturbed the peace. When the police found out about the existence of this memorial, they accused the couple of desecrating the place where the crime had been committed and threatened to arrest them if they didn't remove it. That was the last straw. The couple decided to fight for the right to have at least some kind of reminder of their son. They went to court again. The process was long and exhausting. The couple had to collect hundreds of signatures in support of their initiative. Meanwhile, the city administration did everything they could to prevent the construction of the cross. In particular, they hired a lawyer who created a whole bunch of obstacles. However, despite all the difficulties, the court ruled in favor of the couple. It allowed them to install the monument. At that point, The couple was already too tired to fight for the removal of the gravel and the construction of the park. They just wanted to put up the cross and finally be able to pay tribute to their son. But even with the court's permission, they couldn't erect the monument. The couple repeatedly asked the city administration to level the area where the school once stood, but no one paid any attention to them. "We can't erect the monument ourselves. There's a layer of concrete several meters thick there. Only a crane can lift it. And we simply don't have the money to rent it," Jessica admitted. And then a miracle happened. A local businessman heard about the tragedy that had befallen the family and took pity on them. He provided the necessary equipment, which made it possible to bring the cross to the spot where the school once stood. At the same time, a group of volunteers came forward who offered their services to help erect the monument. Moreover, the townspeople united and began cleaning the territory from debris and weeds. It seemed as though the couple wasn't alone in their grief. But suddenly the nightmare began anew. The city administration took offense at the fact that the couple installed the monument in violation of the rules and without obtaining a building permit and ordered it to be demolished. David and Jessica couldn't believe their luck. They had been fighting for this for almost 8 years. Finally, they were going to succeed, but no. The city administration ruined everything again. The couple was ready to give up, but their friends and neighbors didn't allow them to do so. People came out onto the streets holding banners and portraits of Elijah and chanting, "Shame, shame." The mayor received dozens of calls from outraged citizens demanding to leave the cross alone. The police officers who arrived at the scene to demolish the monument also didn't want to carry out this order. They said that they simply couldn't do it because of the people standing in their way. The city administration backed down. The next day, Mayor Timothy Bannon Jr. issued a statement saying, "After hearing the community's opinion, I decided to abandon the plans to demolish the cross. The city will not interfere with the family's desire to keep the cross." He also apologized for the inconvenience caused, promising that in the near future, the city would nevertheless be transformed beyond recognition. The new park will be a beautiful place where everyone in the city will be able to relax and remember the victims of the tragedy. However, David and Jessica didn't appreciate such a condescending tone. To them, this park was just a reminder of what had happened, while the cross was a symbol of their son's life. The couple didn't want to make excuses for the city administration and didn't feel like smiling and making nice. Moreover, they had no intention of allowing anyone to turn the tragedy that had befallen them into an election ploy. And so the cross remained standing. Now it stands as a symbol of the memory of the victims of the shooting. Nearby, people leave flowers and toys. It's a place of mourning and remembrance. Perhaps someday the city will change as the mayor promised, but for now, the cross remains.